And we don't get paid to assume. We get paid to demonstrate.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
All right, my friends, welcome. This is the Appraiser Coach Podcast. I am the Appraiser Coach. I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of great companies, of course. TrueTrax. TrueTrax is your ability to crunch data very effectively and understand price trends and market trends in your local market. It's Again, it's called TrueTrax, and you can find it at truefootage.tech. And of course, OREP Insurance has been a sponsor here for many, many years, and we appreciate them. You can go to their website to learn more at orep.org. It's orep.org. Want to welcome back to the program. Speaking of G, the OG, Mr. Tim Anderson, the Appraiser's Advocate, back with us. Thank you, Tim, for joining us.
Dustin, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a very much a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, I can't tell you how excited I am about today's show because it is stuff that is way outside my scope of work, but definitely in your wheelhouse. As you know, Tim, we frequently have what we call the Dear USPAP Instructor episodes where listeners are able to write in and ask questions. And they may be specific to you, to me, what have you, but most of the time I defer to the boss, which is you. Before we dive into the questions on the table, though, Tim, tell us a little bit about why you call yourself the Appraiser's Advocate. What is it that you do for appraisers?
Dustin, given that I'm retired, I wanted something to do. I could have ridden my bike 60 miles a week and gotten absolutely fabulous shape, or I could have gone back to graduate school and gotten a PhD. But no, no, I decided I wanted to work with my fellow appraisers.
Lovely.
So as a result, I do. And when somebody finds themselves in trouble with the state, or even better, when somebody doesn't want to find themselves in trouble with the state, I come along and I do tutoring and I do mentoring, and I'm involved with a couple of states in their mentoring programs, and I travel a lot. I do my podcasts. You and I have interviewed each other on our various shows.
Yeah.
And so this is the kind of thing that I thoroughly enjoy doing, helping my fellow appraisers. And it has been rewarding in many ways, in fact, always, since I started it about 10 years ago.
Beautiful. And people, if they are in need of you, which all appraisers are, by the way, how do they get a hold of you, Tim?
Dustin, the easiest way is to go on my website.
Okay.
And when the Calendly button pops up, make an appointment with me. There is a retainer involved.
Sure.
Failing that, my email address is tim@theappraisersadvocate.com.
Beautiful. Okay, let's dive into it, shall we?
Let us dive.
All right, my friends. So we got a couple of questions over the last couple of weeks that just happened to be related to one another. And I think it probably was because I had done a little presentation with my all-star team on highest and best use. And both of these questions came after that presentation. And they're a little above my pay grade. So I'm going to just defer to you, my friend, because they are both USPAP questions concerning highest and best use. The first one I will just read directly as written. Tim, it says, next time you talk to your buddy Tim, can you please ask him about highest and best use for me? I hear you and he make a big deal over it, but it does not seem to play into my scope of work when it comes to regular, what he calls cookie cutter properties, which I do mostly here in Arizona. I do not get why it is always touted, meaning highest and best use is always touted as the most important thing, when 99% of the time, the highest and best use analysis takes about half a second, and the outcome is nearly always present use. I get that sometimes it's a bigger deal, but what am I missing? Please keep my communication private as to avoid ridicule or my name. I assume he's saying, and he signed his name Harry Est Butt. What do you have to say to Harry, Tim?
Let's just go with Harry. Um, and we're going to leave the butt part alone because of
Fair enough.
an inside joke,
Yeah,
Dustin.
I know where you're going.
Okay.
All right.
But Harry, quite frankly, if all you're doing is cookie cutter houses and cookie cutter neighborhoods, I'll be the first one to tell you it's not that terribly important.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, and there's always a but involved, another inside joke. There's always a but involved. And that but is, if you were to watch a doctor take out an appendix 4 or 5 times,
Mm.
you could probably take somebody's appendix out. You make a small cut and you root around, you find the appendix, you pull it up, you cut it off, you tie it off, you pack up the wound, you sew it up, and next, three
Easy as
sur
that.
3 surgeons, no waiting. But that's not what they train the doctor for. They train the doctor for when they're in there cutting, and all of a sudden the guy's blood pressure drops to zero,
Mm.
or all of a sudden they nick an artery,
Mm.
or all of a sudden he has a stroke while on the table.
Mm.
That's what the doctor is trained for, not not primarily to take out the appendix. That's the easy part.
Got it.
What the doctor is trained for is when things don't go easy. Now, there are 4 components to highest and best use. Well, okay, what's interesting is it depends on who you read. Um, let's go with the standard 15th edition. You got physically possible, legally permissible, financially feasible, and that one use that brings the highest value. And unfortunately, we teach highest and best use wrong. We teach it. How many ways can I say wrong? We teach it poorly. We teach it inefficiently. We teach it backwardsly. We teach it screwed uply.
Okay.
Um,
Talk to me. What? How?
well, okay, first of all, everybody says, well, there are 4 parts to highest and best use. Okay, but are they eliminatory or additory or cumulative, I should say?
Mm-hmm.
And you go, what? Well, the thing is, they're eliminatory. Okay, now, obviously we're dealing with the site as a vacant here because really highest and best use refers to the vacant site. Really, if you go way back into economic theory, highest and best use referred to the land.
Mm.
So you say, okay, what can I do? Well, I can put I can put a farm on, I can put a goat farm on it, I can put a high-rise office building on it, I can put a warehouse on it, blah, 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 blah. Those are all the physically possible things. Okay, now, does the law limit any of those? Oh, yeah. The law limits it to a single family house. Oh, okay. So we just eliminated the goat farm and the high-rise office building and the school and the church and the whatever else. We just eliminated all those when we looked at the legal filter.
Got it.
Okay. Now, so we've got to get my microphone out of the way. We've started with this. And now we're down to this because we got rid of all the stuff that was, well, physically possible, was not legally possible. Okay, so now we're looking at a smaller cadre of land uses.
Okay.
All right. Now, I said goat farm. That's a third inside joke. Let's just say,
I can just say that's never the highest and best use of anything.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's just go with single family residence. Okay. Now, one of the reasons we do a neighborhood analysis is to find out if the site were vacant, what does the market want? Now, there are lots of neighborhoods out there with just beautiful 2-1 bungalows. There are probably some in Arizona. And I know just before and then right after the Second World War in San Diego, there are lots of neighborhoods I think it's southern San Diego, I think, in which the typical house was between 700 and 900 square feet. And it was a bungalow and it was a weekend getaway.
Mm.
And people thought that was just absolutely lovely. And they got out of LA or wherever else and went down to San Diego, enjoyed the weekend. and went back to the rat race in LA. But that's not what the market wants today. A market doesn't want 800 square foot bungalows. It wants 2,500 square foot houses. So the point is, let's go back to Phoenix or Tucson or Scottsdale or wherever you are, Harry, and say, okay, assuming the site were vacant, what would you put on it? Well,
Mm.
obviously, you can't put a high-rise office building.
Right.
It's, that's not legally possible. It's probably not physically possible either because the site's
Hmm.
not big enough.
Right.
So now you're down. You've gotten rid of the physical. You've gotten rid of the legal. Now you're down to okay, single family residence. All right, because that's what's there. All right, and the neighborhood's 40 years old and it's full of 20 to 40-year-old houses. All right, now and you say, well, the highest misuse would be development with a property compatible with what else is in the neighborhood. Yes, that's true, but that ignores market demand.
Hmm.
What
Right.
does the market demand? Now, if the market's demanding three, two and a halves, and the site were vacant, would you, in your right mind, as a savvy investor, build a 2-1?
Hmm.
Okay, you could. I mean, it's your money. But that doesn't make any sense because that's not what the market wants. And therefore, to say, well, okay, were this site vacant, build a 2-1 on it is not its highest and best use because there's no market demand for it. Let me
Right.
get my microphone back in the frame because there's no market demand for it. So as a result, you have to say, okay, there's no market demand for it, therefore I better eliminate it. And you say, okay, the market wants three, two and a halves. Okay. And you look around and you've got ranch styles and you have an eclectic mix of properties. But you could say, okay, um, it wants three two and a halves. Okay, well, all right. Well, then it's development with a three two and a half. Well, but what about financial feasibility?
Hmm.
You haven't looked at that yet. So you have to look at financial feasibility, and the only place you look at financial feasibility is the cost approach.
Got it.
And if you find out that it's going to cost $500,000 to build that three two and a half, that a specific three two and a half, but the market is going to pay a max of four, then why are you going to go buy your Cokes at $5 a bottle so you can go out to a music festival where it's hot and dry and sell them for $3 a bottle?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can, and bless your thoughtful, kind heart. But that's not what the savvy investor does. That's not what the market does. We have to assume the market has an IQ of at least 100. Okay. And to build a $500,000 house in a $400,000 neighborhood, while entirely your choice, is stupid because it's not financially feasible. Therefore, you've got to say, oh, okay, well, I was going to put in all sub-zero appliances, but I can't. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to back that down to Kenmore
Mm.
appliance. No, okay, all right. And everything was going to have 12-foot ceilings. Oh, well, we can't do that. Okay, let's just go back to plain old everyday 8-foot ceilings. Oh, now all of a sudden you can build it for 385 and sell it for four. Now it's financially feasible.
Got it.
So in that neighborhood where the site vacant, the highest and best use of the property is a three, two and a half of a typical size. Let's call it, say the typical size is between 14 and 1,800 square feet. Let's call it 1,500 square feet with Kenmore appliances and 8-foot ceilings. Because the point is, you've been able to prove that out of the market. And that's the point. You
Right.
can prove it out of the market.
Right.
Now, the other side is, well, okay, well, the house is built and it's 30 years old. Of course, it's financially feasible. No, it isn't because you're not looking at its construction. It's built. Okay. So what it's going to cost to build is, and unless you're going to tear it down and start all over again, which most of us don't, that part's irrelevant. Well, what's financially feasible? All right. Is it financially feasible to put in new carpet and slap on a coat of paint? Which is what everybody does when they move into a new house.
Mm.
And so you ask a couple of brokers, hey, when your buyers moved in, did they put in new carpet and slap up a coat of paint? Oh, yeah, yeah, that's okay. You got market proof that that's the highest and best use.
Mm.
All right. Now, let's suppose the place was kind of a dumpster. It was REO and it had been not well cared for. All right.
Okay.
But you're able to buy it at what you feel to be a significant discount. So you can go back and you can buy it at a significant discount and then put in new windows and replace whatever drywall and appliances and blah, blah, blah. And you still have a house that is somewhere in the neighborhood of, well, less than 400. Okay. Well, as a result, when we get into highest and best use, 99% of the time, yeah, it's probably what's there.
Hmm.
But the point is we don't prove it.
Mm.
We assume it.
Yeah.
And we don't get paid to assume. We get paid to demonstrate. Now, USPEP doesn't use the word prove. Okay, I like the word prove. We get paid to prove the highest and best use is what's there. Slap a coat of paint on it, put in some new carpet, move the family in happily ever after. Okay, we get paid to prove that. We don't get paid to guess that.
Mm.
But yet, and Henry, please don't take this as a personal attack because it's not. I don't know you personally. The point is, too many appraisers are willing to guess
Mm.
that it's the highest and best use. Now, um, just let me broach the subject of AVMs here. You say, well, AVM can't figure out the highest and best use either. You're right. It can't. And so, how long is the client going to pay the appraiser $450 not to figure out the
Yeah.
highest and best use
Yeah. Yeah.
versus $50 not to figure out the highest and best use?
Well put. Yeah. Tim, thank you. As we get back from the break, we're going to deal with another question related to highest and best use that, frankly, I've had. And in fact, it comes up often, and I would love to hear your take on it. First, want to pause, of course, folks, and remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of wonderful companies. Speaking of data and crunching the data, folks, are you using technology to help you to do so? A lot of changes this year with Fannie Mae regarding how we report, how we analyze time adjustments, for example, and neighborhood. What is the actual neighborhood? What are the boundaries? And there's a great program out there that I have used and just adore. It is very, very helpful to allow the appraiser to continue to do their work, but to have the systems to do so efficiently. And it's called TrueTracks. It's created by True Footage. You can find out more by going to their website. It's truefootage.tech and click on the programming or the technology side of things and check out TrueTracks. Again, it's TrueTracks by truefootage.tech. Speaking of sponsors here and great companies to be associated with, OREP Insurance is my E&O of choice, folks. We've got to have E&O insurance. It's just a given. In the line of work that we do, it would be silly not to. And why not go with the company that does it best? A broker who will take your individual situation and shop it to other insurance companies and find the best fit for you, the most effective and most cost effective as well. And that is what OREP does. They understand appraisers. They're there for you when you need them. If you're with any other company, I implore you to check them out by going to their website at orep.org. That's orep.org. And we're back. Welcome back, Tim. I really appreciate your insights. And as we dig into highest best use, I think it is one of the most misunderstood concepts of appraisal. Unfortunately, as you say, we're not trained, taught, and educated the way that we should be on it. And I appreciate your insights. The second question comes from an individual by the name of Cami. Not spelled the same way as my wife. But she writes and she says, serious question, how do I complete a highest and best use analysis as a certified residential appraiser when the subject's highest and best use may, and she capitalizes the word may, be commercial or something that's outside my license level to appraiser? I think it's an awesome question. Tim, what do you think?
Cami, this is a really tough area because it's not something that licensure or state law really contemplates. But the point is, let's suppose you have a piece of vacant ground
Mm.
and you're looking around and you find that what the market says is that folks, and let's just call it 10 acres. And you find that there are folks who buy 10-acre parcels and make hobby farms out of them,
Sure.
or
Yeah.
which Dustin knows well, or goat farms out of them. Or they buy the 10 acres and they cut it into half-acre sites
Mhm.
and then sell them. Well, the thing is, chances are, cut up into half-acre sites, the property's worth more
Mhm.
than it is as a 10-acre goat farm. But your level of licensure does not allow you to appraise anything more than land that can be put to any more than 1 to 4 family use.
Right.
So at that point, you're gonna be talking to brokers, and you're gonna say, well, okay, this 10-acre parcel sold. What did the buyer do with it? Oh, nothing. They're going to build a house on it, and they're going to retire on it, and they're going to watch their grandkids grow up, and a few other things. In okay. And somebody else says, well, yeah, they bought it to subdivide, and then they're going through the subdivision process with the county right now. And when that gets all handled, they're going to subdivide it, sell it in half-acre lots. Oh, what are they going to sell for? Well, right now we're projecting blah, blah, blah. Well, as soon as you talk about, let's see, 10 acres, half-acre lots, it's 20 lots, less probably 1 or 2 lots for roadways, easements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's totally out of your wheelhouse. And at that point, you've got to do one of 3 things, actually 1 of 4 things. You've either got to educate yourself into competence, which is long and expensive.
Okay.
You've got to hire someone who is competent to do it. You can sign it along with them, but you've got to hire someone who is competent to do it, which it ain't going to be cheap to you.
Sure.
Or you can hire yourself out to someone who is competent to do it and can sign that along with you, which ain't going to be cheap to you.
I've done that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the 3 recognized steps, or you walk away.
Mm-hmm. I've done that too.
It's going to be very expensive to you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you joining us, as always, making the complex simple. And again, how do people get a hold of you, Tim?
Tim at theappraisersadvocate.com or on my website, theappraisersadvocate.com. When the Calendly button clicks up, click on there, make an appointment with me. Again, there is a retainer involved, and I'll be happy to answer your questions, do tutoring, mentoring, help you stay out of trouble with your state, talk about good restaurants in Las Vegas, or whatever else that is important to you at the time.
Love it. Speaking of pop-ups, folks, if you have not already done so, go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, wait about 4 seconds, and click on the pop-up for the Elevate Appraiser Retreat coming up in May 5th, 6th, and 7th in Coors Gold, California. Blaine Feyen and I have got together to create a retreat for 15 people. And as of this recording, by the way, more than half of those seats have been filled. And I also want to make an announcement that our good friend, Mr. Roy Meyer, will be joining us for all 3 days for an in-depth deep dive into AI and how to utilize it in your business and in appraisal. So, folks, this is a not to be missed activity and the first of its kind, a retreat for appraisers in just outside Yosemite National Park. Check it out, folks. We would love to have you there. Again, Tim, thank you for your time, and we'll catch you next time, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Dustin. My best to your family. We'll be in touch. You be safe and well.
Thank you, friend. You too.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.